All right, good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy over your new reader. Look at us, second week in a row. We're back after I took a very extended vacation, which was worth it. And I'm back with two of my best friends in the entire world. My guests, Ren and Whitney, who've both been on the show before, but they have come back, and I am forever indebted to them. And we're here to talk about one of my favorite things, Power Rangers. So I'll let you both introduce yourselves. I know you've introduced yourself before, but Ren, if you could just have a little hi first.
Hi, I'm Ren. Is there something in particular that I should be going for
I
here?
mean, if you want to shout out your cosplay page, so
That's
everybody can
okay.
see
It's
see.
pandemic time. We haven't had anything to show off for a little
Yeah, but
while now.
man, you
So
are still pumping it out though all the time. And for people at home, I frequently take pictures of Ren's cosplays, which are amazing and incredible. And the fact that he's still making cosplays right now is incredible to me. Including one of our favorite shots, my favorite shot of all time, which is your Cloud from Final Fantasy VII Remake. Is
yes,
our
that
it's
that
my favorite collab between the two of us.
yeah, that's definitely my favorite too. It's because you're so talented.
Oh,
That's why we keep coming back.
thank you. And of course, the lovely, the gorgeous just had a birthday yesterday on what I call D20. December 20th. Miss Whitney.
Hello. I don't know, I've only done a couple of these, but it still feels kind of nerve wracking because, I mean, similar to Ren, I'm like, what am I supposed to say? But at least he has a page. I literally have nothing. This is all you're going to get and going to see in the digital world. So,
Whitney's my still newer reader in comic books world and newer to like geekier things. But you started playing Magic, you started playing board games. Next thing you know, you're gonna be at cosplaying cons with us once it's safe. It's gonna
mhm.
happen.
It's a
We
slippery
Yeah,
have a
slope.
lot of cosplay groups that we need people in, and you're just gonna have to be in them.
it is a very slippery slope, but I feel like I was always doing some of these things just on a non-professional level. Now I feel kind
Mhm.
of like in the semi-pro territory to where I could like just show up at tournaments and just rock it out. So
I mean, I don't know how to friend a little bit. I only know how to friend really hard, as Ren knows. So it's a matter of time.
yeah.
Oh hey, everybody's here. James and Mark, Blackwing, Joe, Jessica Ashcraft says, "Oh my God, Miss Witt, big fan."
I hope so.
Magic the Gathering is entry drug, absolutely. Also, I love seeing little blurry Lisa walk behind you. She's an angel.
She was so nervous. She was like, "Is your background blurred? Are they gonna see me?" And I'm like, "Just go, just go." And all he sees is this blanket burrito just kind of
I
orbiting
think it's
behind me
so
there.
cute. Blanket burrito and then slight blurry corgi in the bottom, which is great.
She's
Look
trying
at
to hide.
her. Love her. Well, we are here to talk about Power Rangers Year One. This is by Boom, or published by Boom. Lord, written by Kyle Higgins. Everyone is like, I would have, I would have given you more homework, but I was being nice because I think I could have read all three uh, deluxe editions. Because once we ended, I was like, oh man, I want more. But we read everything that's in the Year One, which is the first three volumes. So this is like for Power Rangers fans at home. This follows more of like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers timeline with like a little bit of a surprise thrown in. So a little bit different things happen in this to everybody, our usual crew. So this is actually we're all new readers on this one, except I've watched a video that detailed exactly everything that happened on this by Comic Storian. And I know that I've sent that to Ren as well. But I'm curious. We'll start before we talk about it. What's your like initial thoughts after reading this as Power Rangers fans growing up? Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like it like matched what your thoughts were? You think it challenged it at all? Or do you feel like, oh, okay, it was rebooted and I didn't need this to happen?
I mean, at least from me, like when Mighty Morphin came out, like I was literally at like the target age for that. I was about 8 or 9, so it was like a big deal when I was a kid. And of course, the Green Ranger was my favorite because he was everybody's favorite when you were,
I
that
mean,
age.
ugh, my
You know,
first love.
I'm not going to touch that one right now. I feel like that's a
I
whole
mean,
separate show. But
not now anymore, but it
right.
definitely shaped my love into high school of skinny long-haired boys.
Mhm.
So what can you do?
I don't even know how to like jump off from that point now, but
That's fair. That's
but
fair.
so most of like my fond memories from that is pretty much like this kind of age, like this group and everything else. I never really kept up with it too much past when they started really changing Rangers and past like I think the first movie.
Mhm.
So this has always just been kind of like the era that I know most and like that I have the most fond memories of. And so to get to kind of go back to that, one of the things that it kind of reminded me of in a way, not necessarily through like the story and tone so much, but it reminded me a lot of like Spider-Man Blue, where it was kind of like the behind the scenes in
Yeah.
between of like what we had already known before type of thing. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And as somebody who obviously is way older now, unfortunately, and I can feel the gray hairs just like going out as I say this, but like it was more mature without it having to be like that super extreme mature,
Yeah,
like just a
without
bunch of
going
like
like edgy.
right, like it was more than monster of the week with a few cheesy one-liners, but it wasn't necessarily so much like, violence for the sake of violence either. Like they
Yeah,
kept
we
it
didn't
interesting
go
like
DC Titans the TV show with this. We were
y-
like
yeah, and like all of the characters had they were just a little bit more well-rounded than at least from what
Mhm.
I remember. There was just an extra side to everybody, I don't know how much like we're gonna like are we just kind of jumping right into just spoiling the whole thing, or like
We
where do
could
we
old reader, new reader, we do have spoilers. We typically do like a little bit of like a summary sort of
Mhm.
deal. So like after initial thoughts, I'll do like a little
Okay. So kind of
summary.
staying away from like the main story, but at least in terms of like spoiler stuff, but it really kind of jumps off from like when Tommy first joins the Power Rangers after being, brainwashed by Rita. So you get to kind of see the group react around that. You get to see that Zach's a little bit more suspicious and, Jason's struggling to be the leader and kind of just them sort of finding a groove and everything there. And I found that interesting as opposed to just friendship's magic and like they're just suddenly BFFs forever, just as soon as
Yeah,
like just because they have that thing in common, like there's personality clashes and things like that, and that keeps it more interesting.
hard agree. So Whitney,
Hmm. I would say so for me, it was definitely just a big like nostalgia boost reading it as opposed to like, watching the show and remembering everything that way. And I did kind of like the more realistic view of this guy just comes in and it's like he's trying to make himself the unofficial leader of the group. It's like Jason is right there. Why is he not mad about that? In the comparison of what we watched in our childhood, but I think we all kind of sense that certain nuances depending on how we were as children. Of no, he was mad. They just couldn't articulate it, but the comic is to flesh that out quite a bit more. And even mention of their parents. I definitely don't remember there being parents ever mentioned. So it's like,
I don't
whoa,
either.
oh yeah, they got responsibilities. It's like, wow, they're real people. Okay. So I think that part was really cool to kind of see that. And then it's like, oh man, they're like us. They're well, not like us, but they're people. They're not these
Power
just
Rangers. They're
yeah,
just like us.
exactly. That's what the comics kind of felt like to me. And just the certain things they were grappling with and um just kind of to see that like the behind the scenes of that, the realism of it. That's what I really enjoyed with the comics. So like first impression wise, I was like, wow, this is real. It's not fluffy. This is
It's
not
definitely
fluff.
not fluffy. The only fluffy bits are that like Bulk and Skull stuff at the end, which honestly I just kind of breezed through because at that point I was like, no, I want my main story, which is sorry, Bulk and Skull. I'll just admit to everyone. We did have a question: is it more serious? Does it have blood and like that type of tone? It is much more serious. And from what I've known about like things that happen after what we've read, it gets even more serious. Um, like both the stakes and like the things that the Rangers deal with. So for people at home, like a quick idea of what this is and what this looks like if you haven't read this. First of all, this has been one of like the most talked up runs by Boom in a long time. The deluxe editions of these continually went out of print. Everyone was buying these. I still don't have copies of this. Luckily, it is on Comixology Unlimited, so it's very accessible. Because I know that I don't have deluxe edition money right now after Christmas, like many of us. Elliot, they are still teenagers with attitude, just so you know. But basically, we start off with like kind of the regular. They start us off with just the regular tone and canon of the original show. So when we were joining in, we are just seeing like Ren and Whitney said, like a deeper kind of behind the scenes look at what the characters are dealing with after Tommy joins. So basically, you're taking the canon run right after Tommy joins officially after being sort of evil, controlled by Rita. So the first, like, we join in day one when the Green Ranger joins the Power Rangers officially, because he's nervous about his first day being in this role with them, and things just kind of go awry because he still doesn't have complete control of his Zord, and he's still, I think, being comfortable with himself, and he's struggling because he doesn't feel like he belongs there. But as we go on, we realize there's something else at play. Rita's kind of like pulling the strings to exacerbate this, and like the green Power Ranger energy, whatever, to bring about an evil Tommy from a different universe. And this happens like after towards the end of the first volume, second volume. But basically, we're pretty much quickly put into this like multiversal Power Ranger situation where there is a timeline where Tommy decides not to go back with the Power Rangers, decides to just be with Rita and kind of be evil and subjugate people, and he decides to take over all the universes and Power Rangers by doing that. And so we see our Power Rangers deal with it. And that's my quick and dirty explanation of what's happening. But there's a lot of survivor's guilt with Tommy. And if you haven't read any of this, there will be some spoilers, but I will say that regardless of us talking about it, I think it won't spoil everything for you. I think, reading this was a different situation than me watching Comic Historian, who basically said exactly what happened. It was still a worthy read. So I guess we can dig into the stuff before Drakkon shows up, which is such a name.
I
so
like it though
extra.
because like that is like the campy Power Rangers type of thing for sure. So it fits. Like it's one of those things where you kind of roll your eyes at it, but you almost get to have that suspension of disbelief because of what this is. So it works, I think.
Absolutely. So before, I know you guys kind of already touched on that, but before Drakkon shows up, we're just dealing with like regular teammate issues. And like you said, like dealing with Zach and his like kind of holding Tommy at arm's reach was really interesting to see because he's such a like positive guy in the team. Like when you think about Zach, I don't know about you guys, when I think about Zach, I see somebody just with a lot of energy with his hip hop keto, and just like he's like the positive face, so everybody else is kind of in their feelings about stuff. And to see him be the one that's like, no, this guy just joined. He was just destroying the city, and we're supposed to be cool with this? I don't know. Sorry. Allergy season. Oh, it's going to happen again. What do you guys think about that? Live YouTube is fun. So how do you guys feel about the team during this point? Or is there any like special things that come to mind about how like there's different views that you got to see in any characters or anything specific that you really enjoyed being expanded?
I'd say I really enjoyed seeing Trini, which feels like it's weird to say seeing Trini again, but basically seeing Trini in comic form, and then just how, when she was kind of interacting with Tommy and trying to help him deal with, the hallucinations and things with Rita, and just being like, you got to face that stuff head on. It very much felt reminiscent of the Trini from the TV show, of just like trying to see the good in everyone and helping people through their problems, as opposed to, seeing Zach in a different light of, oh, I don't know. We shouldn't this just happened. Why are we trusting this guy? Why are we letting him in the fold, kind of thing? So I would say I enjoyed seeing kind of Trini's characters take somewhat aligned with what young me saw in TV form. And same a little bit with Kimberly, interested in Tommy. That was kind of always going to be the gig. So, I appreciate that the teenage kind of we're here for each other in that respect energy that was carried through.
One of the things that I really enjoyed too, that as I was going through, I was paying attention to because I wanted to see how they handled it, was it felt like they did a good job of balancing who was interacting with who. So it wasn't
Yeah.
always like the same two characters off with each other and whatnot. Like they were constantly kind of blending and weaving the different friendships and relationships and navigating that. And that was just really nice to see because I felt like that really reinforced the idea of they were genuinely a team, as opposed to just, we just all happen to be together at the, same time and same place sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
And even if that's how they came together, like they are developing those friendships and relationships there. And, getting their actual thoughts on things as opposed to just, hey, we're gonna go do this thing now, and you know what I mean. Like it was just different. Even characters like Bulk and Skull, who are different
Yeah.
enough from their incarnation in the show, but it works here. I feel like that there's definitely some outdated tropes that they had from the 90s at the time. They were there for the reasons that they were there then, but they translated that well enough here by still keeping those elements of, that they're essentially, the Power Rangers fanboys, by taking away a little less of the bully and just more of like their kind of in your face and I don't want to say annoying
Mhm.
per se, but just less bully, a little bit more of an irritation type thing, I guess was the best way to put it.
Absolutely. And I really liked them as being like these newscaster deals that just gave us like the layman people's like updates on this. I thought that was like a really refreshing way to have Bulk and Skull be a part of this story without overpowering it. Is like the haha, we're goofballs. And we did have like the Bulk and Skull like little comics, which again I didn't care for. It's gonna sound really bad. But I liked how they fit into the story of just being like, hey, these are what us regular people are seeing and experiencing. Like, uh, this is what's happening. We're worried, and they're like the first offense for us, the reader. Like, this is what people are thinking. Which I don't know if I trust them completely to report on the Power Rangers, but they did a pretty good job.
I feel like their energy for the whole little Bulk and Skull kind of respite, it gave me the same energy again to like the show of they really aren't necessarily needed there, but then they show up and you're just kind of like, well, I guess they got to be there. I guess that's how the story's got to go. Otherwise, we're gonna just stay in the aura of what the Power Rangers are doing and how they're interacting. We have no clue like how the real persons of Angel Grove are living their lives.
Yeah. Uh, and still I have a lot of favorite Billy moments, but I think like out of this first volume and later on after things happen, the Billy moments are my favorite moments of this whole book, of all these three trades. Like really getting to explore Billy and his insecurities was so refreshing because you have a character that's not as heroic as he thinks, right? He's not as gung ho. He doesn't feel like he's destined to be a hero. He's just a really smart guy that really enjoys being a part of this team and like getting to do these things, but he's scared. Like, and he doesn't feel like he belongs in this team the same way other people belong in this team. The way that Tommy can join day one and be this like gun ho fighter guy, and Billy's still not there. And I love that. I love that back and forth. Just all Billy time. Really. Sweet boy Billy. I love him. And I do wish that like I was glad to see Trini and Kimberly, but at the same time I also wish I had more time with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like they were in a very supportive role in this, but not a very like self-actualized role. And I know that might change later. And I did read the like Kimberly like trade that there is. That's the only other Power Rangers thing I've read. But I also felt like even though it was nice to see them, I see Kimberly talking to Tommy, supporting Tommy, talking to Jason about Tommy. And I see Trini being the support, and I think I wanted more of them being like having their own routes, their own storylines. Yeah. But still good. Yeah, that was the one I did read, Griffnix. I did like that one a lot. And I know Elliot loved Billy in the reboot. So let's. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm one of the only ones that actually really enjoyed the reboot. I get why people may have
Oh, the
disliked it.
movie.
Yeah, and then like I get it, but and there's definitely some things wrong with it for sure. But at least in terms of characterization, like there were a lot of things I really liked, and Billy was definitely the standout by far.
Oh, we love the reboot. I had no problems with it personally.
I was a little bummed that they weren't going to keep going with it, but it is what it is.
It's just the story of my life. Power Rangers, Cowboy Bebop. I can't have anything. I'm not allowed. Zachary was asking about the language in it. Do you mean like as in bad language? Because I don't remember anything like that in there.
Nothing like awful or anything that I can think of. No.
Mm-mm.
And even the violence in here isn't like bloody violence, from what I can remember. But it's very like intense situations. It's more mature than the regular show.
Anything that was really violent was more kind of off-screen and implied. You know, you would see something that just implied that there had been a lot of violence, but it was never outright like right there in your face like graphic or anything.
Yeah, I think maybe I heard them say hell. Read.
Mm-hmm.
No blood, only sparks.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because a lot was implied. So I guess we can get to the alternate Tommy, aka Drakkon universe. That's one of the best things I think Boom's ever done with Power Rangers. I think it's so cool. And I love this alternate universe that we only get a really like kind of a touch of. I guess we talk about 2 and 3 kind of together. The volumes, I think that makes the most sense is what we're going into is like pre-Drakkon, post-Drakkon. I love that character. I love the like scariness that comes with him showing up at Angel Grove. And I love seeing I think having him show up, Drakkon as an evil Tommy, show up right after we're literally reading about Tommy dealing with those things in real time, I think is perfect. Because you show up and you're like, yeah, I get it. Like, of course.
I think one of the things that I definitely want to point out that I really appreciated through all of this is that the villains actually felt credible for a change. Like it wasn't like that slapstick humor type stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, Rita was there and being like manipulative and like good at what she was doing for a change instead of being the butt of the joke, you know, and it wasn't a case where, you know, Zed was coming in to clean up after her or anything. Like she was in charge and like everybody knew it. And you got to see why that was the case. And that was something that I really appreciated because I mean, you know, I remember that as a kid is it's like, well, why are they so afraid of her? She just makes the, you know, the monster big. Like that's it.
Yeah,
like there's no
the pointy boobs.
Right. Yeah. You know, and so they really kind of played up a lot of that manipulation that really kind of went into that Green Ranger arc, like back in the show and just pushed that hard. And man, there was just something about seeing Squat and Babu, who were like the most like comedic ones, just walking around with flamethrowers. Like it was wild. Like, you know, it was one of those things where I kind of took a step back and I was just like, man, like that's something I never would have imagined as a kid, but like that's also like showing like what the stake is now. Like it's different. Like it's a lot of that similar but different. You know, you've got like the same sort of shell and everything there, but there's more to it now. There's substance to it. That's the best way to put it.
Oh yeah, and I realized I totally skipped over her like speaking to Tommy in his head for the entirety of Volume 1. Because that
Mhm.
was tough.
Yeah.
Because the whole time she's like, nobody loves you. They don't need you. They don't trust you. And you're like, God, quit it. And Zoldar too. Is that his name correctly? I always forget his name.
Goldar.
Goldar.
Goldar. Thank you. Did anybody else feel bad for Goldar? Little chained up Goldar's like so in love with Rita. It's like, no, she's gonna come back.
I
I
mean,
can get myself out of those chains.
I loved that he was loyal to a fault, and I loved it
Yeah.
even more that Billy manipulated that and
Yeah.
got out of a situation later on that I'm sure we'll talk about. But that was something that I really liked. I liked seeing that aspect where, here you have, they're not even like in like a, one-on-one fight or anything, but Billy managed to get the upper hand over this person that any other time, like, it would have been a bad situation for him. And I really
Yeah.
appreciated those character moments there for sure.
And I don't think any other Ranger could have done it.
It would have had to been Billy. I definitely agree with Ren though. Like the depth of even the villain characters was so appreciated because it just everyone just seems so much more well-rounded. Where you're just like, who do I care about now? Who do I kind of fall for? Who am I concerned with? It's a little bit of everyone. Everyone's kind of locked in their own mental state of insecurity on one side or the other. So it's like, dang, it's like at any given moment, honestly, you could be like, oh, am I kind of rooting for Rita, even with her manipulating Tommy? Am I kind of feeling tears for Goldar because of, his relationship with Rita and then, everyone else in between? And it's like, I mean, yeah, I want to say, yeah, but yeah, that's where we are. Even Tommy, even the whole, oh man, poor Tommy, just can't catch a break, that one.
I know.
It's hard to
know. Just poor little sad boy, even now as an adult, I'm like, oh, but I could fix him.
The whole team tried,
They did, and it worked. Just not for Drakkon.
Nah. No, not for every version of Tommy.
But yeah, so we see, we have our volume 2 where we see Drakkon show up. We don't exactly know who he is right away, and we see the Rangers get separated and him take control of Billy, and this whole thing about the Morphin Grid, which I don't remember ever being really discussed in Power Rangers like it is here, but it's like the Morphin Grid is this like much more complicated power where you can access like the different Power Ranger abilities. And maybe I'm like forgetting something, but I don't remember ever hearing about Morphin Grid until this. Now, granted, I've watched like 4 different Power Rangers.
I feel like it was definitely touched on at some point, but not to the level that it was here. I think it was just kind of more of a, this is your mystical force that's kind of powering everything sort of thing, as opposed to like being used as like a plot device to this degree.
Yeah. But I did like how that was used. I did like seeing our Rangers lose their power and seeing Tommy think of like a creative way to deal with that. I think it was really neat to see, him like, oh wait, if Drakkon can access the Morphin Grid to take control of our Zords to do all this, I can do that too. And to make them all Green Rangers, I think was really neat and empowering in a weird way. Not to look too much into this, but it's comic books and we're talking about them and reviewing them and trying to give insightful looks at them. So it's going to happen regardless. But what a great way for Tommy to kind of bring his own teamwork back to him, his own realization about himself by making everybody else the same thing as that he is, which was originally something in pure. And again, I'm looking too far into this, but that's what this show's about. Like, because originally it was something that was not positive, and now everybody's the same thing as he is. And he saved the day. And I think that's great. So I was curious of going into book 2 and 3. I think the most interesting part is still when Tommy and Billy get taken to our alternate universe, which unfortunately we only get a touch of. in this book. But I'm curious of what your favorite parts are right now, and also what your kind of predictions are of where we're going. I know that Ren, you probably watched a little bit farther about what's happening, but I'm curious to see what your overall thoughts of the direction of this are.
Well, I think the first thing I want to say is like I love Drakkon's design, like just that suit and the combination of everything. Like I thought it was just a really well done way to kind of combine like the green and white ranger things. And they've been killing it with the designs lately anyway. Like even I know in one of the games they had like Ryu and Chun Li from Street Fighter as Power Rangers, where they have
Oh,
like their
really?
own suits and everything, and they look really good. Like the designs are just excellent. So just lately, between like all of like these newer Power Ranger suits, they've just been doing like a really good job with like that whole Zentai spirit type stuff. So I really
Okay.
appreciated that. But to kind of go back to your original question, I'm interested to see kind of where that ends up going, and I also want to know like where did everybody else end up? Because I don't, unless because I did read through it pretty quick,
Mm-hmm.
unless they really didn't touch on it too much. At least I don't think they did. Like I want to know what happened to everybody else in that process. I mean, they kind of make the assumption that they're gone. I mean, I know like what happened to Jason, but at least for the
Yeah.
others, it was a little bit more murky and unclear.
Yeah, and if you noticed before, as like, man, talking about power just feels so silly. As the saber describes what happens to everyone, you see a little bit of like an image, and you see Power Rangers from like other years. So like, at this point, you can make the assumption that like, not only has he attacked these Power Rangers, but we have like Power Rangers from other seasons
Mm-hmm.
there right now, which means we're gearing up for what Power Rangers love, which is a multi-series crossover
Crossover, Forever
event.
Red, man.
Forever Red. Winnie, that's when all the Red Rangers got together, which is very silly, but also
But it was
very
so
cool.
cool. Like that was the
Cool.
coolest thing.
But that's what I'm most excited for, even though I haven't seen a ton of Power Rangers. Like, I think I've seen more than I think I've seen. The fact that I can sing all of the theme song from like Time Force and a few others is probably telling. But for Whitney, you've only seen the original, right?
Right, because I can't, nope, can't go past it. Can't go past it.
That's fair. You're an adult now. It's not that easy.
Can't go past it. That feels weird.
So what you've seen, do you feel like, one, is there anything you're confused by? Two, is there anything that you hope that they do going forward with any of the characters that you know? Any like predictions or hopes of what, or anything you would like to see?
I would definitely like to see more Pink Ranger. There might just be a whole other thing with her that's not in this, but I'd love to see more of her and definitely more of Trini. I mean, we had kind of mentioned it before, and I think it is easier for them to kind of focus on the guys. Tommy, obviously, for his own reasons, and Billy, Jason as well, and even little Zach. But it just feels like, come on, there's the girls there too. They're doing their part. Let's get them in there. Let's get them in some of this actions. Get them tied up in the world about to end, or split, skew off. I'd like to see something like that.
Yeah, I would like to see more about Trini with the whole doctor background, because I don't think I realized that in the show. I don't know if that was mentioned before, but I never saw that side of her, so I'm curious to see if like we see alternate universe Trini as like a medic or something. All I remember of Trini is that she collected dolls. That's all I remember from the original show.
For me, I need like 1000% more Ernie from the juice bar. Like
Yeah.
where's my boy
Where is
Ernie?
Ernie?
Where
Is
is
he
Ernie?
okay?
Like
He's
he's
retired and juicing and living his best life. That's what I like to think. Ernie
What if
doing.
that's the one person that Drakkon like chills out about?
Yeah.
Like he's really hardcore with everybody else, but he has this fond memory still of Ernie from the juice bar. And so he's like, no one will touch it. And so everything else is like subjugated and like dictatorship ruled, and then Ernie's juice bar can like exist freely. That's the story I want to read.
Just
well, I mean, in the alternate universe, the high school is what, a correctional facility now, I think is
Yeah.
what it was. So Who knows at this point?
Well, and as we get there, we see all of these all those Black Rangers as a police force.
Yeah,
And so
what
I'm
was that
curious
about?
how they must have accessed the morphin grid somehow and gave people ranger powers or something. Because it
Uh-oh.
can't just be 10 Zacks, right?
Right.
Unless it's I
Unless.
mean, how do you get all the Zacks from all the worlds to agree to do this thing? There's no way. Ernie's Juice Bar is Switzerland. Yeah, absolutely.
So it
Of
basically
course.
just picks up and plops anywhere it needs to.
It's the one constant of all universes.
Exactly.
There's always one. I always joke with Elliot that all of I always talk about what our friends would be like in other universes, other multiverses. But Elliot would be the constant. So no matter what universe it is, even if we're all squids, Elliot is still just Elliot somehow.
Among just a bunch of squids.
Yeah, he's the one
Okay.
constant. While the rest of us, how we hyperfixate on things, we have a different hyperfixation in every universe. I don't know. Maybe we're all into Call of Duty in one universe. It's very weird. But something.
That would be something.
I'm just really into the anime Bleach instead of One Piece in another universe. It's very weird.
Ooh.
I bet they're not even Zacks. They're probably Adam.
It was a frog.
Like this. Man, I love the movie. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what else to touch on. And I also feel like I'm just filling up space talking, which is a tendency of mine. But any other favorite moments or character moments or anything? If not, we can rate it and chill with the chat.
A small thing, but just when they were in the alternate dimension where they were imprisoned, just seeing the same set backgrounds that were in the show, with the weird walls and stuff with the fog going over, that's just something that I remember very vividly from the Tommy arc. So even just seeing small details like that, I really appreciated. And I'm pretty sure when they go into the alternate future, there's a couple Zords. It's almost like a kind of a graveyard of Zords, and you could definitely point out a few here and there from those other series and things like that. So just those small little Easter egg things I really appreciated too.
Whitney, anything else that came to mind? You want to?
I did really enjoy at the end of the volume of that was this there was a few little pictures. There were some of the dolls, there was some I guess fan art or others artwork.
Oh, that's all of the floppy covers. So
there we go.
Yeah, so in comic book world, which is a thing that I love and hate, each of the single issues they have variant covers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big seller. So people want specific variant issues. So the good thing about Boom in their trades and deluxes that they show all these different covers, which are really cool. I'm glad they're shared in there.
There was really good art there for sure.
The watercolor was insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think my favorite ones were I didn't start noticing him till the end, but the regular morphin pose where it looks like the actual actor.
Mm-hmm.
Each one, I really like that.
I did laugh at the one where they mixed the Breakfast Club poster.
That was
good.
I'm for that for any comic. Just put them all in a Breakfast Club pose. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good cosplay group. Hayden, that does not exist. There's no way. Jaden, how dare you? Listen, there cannot be a universe where I hate Roy Harper and love Heroes in Crisis. That's very upsetting. Except Buffy. Boom never shows their Buffy covers. That's true, Hayden. Listen, Hayden, I can't even talk about Buffy anymore. It makes me sad. I can't go back to that life. It's too late for me now. No more collecting. Buffy's over. Well, anyways, let's get to rating. So we usually do a rating scale out of 10. So how do you all feel about well, actually 2 questions. 1, how would you rate Power Rangers Year 1 for yourself? And 2, do you want to read past this? I'll start with Whitney.
Okay. For myself, I give it a 8 out of 10. The nostalgia was there for me, everything, and just the depth was great. Uh, I would definitely continue to read it. I feel like it's almost a necessary evil at this point just to kind of finish the whole thing. Because honestly, even when I was looking for it to read and then, found it on one of the comic digital read sites, the way it was selling online was, and so I was like, oh man, everyone's dying to get their hands on this. I better read it before it just disappears out from under me. So,
Wicked sold out.
yeah. And like wild comments, just absolutely wild. But yeah, it was just really fun, interesting journey. Yeah, there were probably parts I was like, yeah, I could leave these out. And that's probably why it's like not a 10 out of 10. But it's definitely worth it. I definitely enjoyed myself. And it's like, yeah, we gotta wrap it up. We gotta see the whole thing through.
Ren.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I think I'd give it about an 8 out of 10. Like it was really, really solid. Definitely interested in continuing it. It exceeded my expectations. I can definitely say that. Anytime that they do something like this, there's always that risk of running it the wrong direction. Especially with something like this where it's a fine line to really kind of
Oh
balance
yeah.
the nostalgia while recognizing that your audience has grown up. I mean, the people that are reading this are not this probably not the same ones that are watching the show right now. I mean, sure there's some, but I mean, it was more kind of
It's for us.
yeah, it's aimed more for our age group, that the ones that grew up and just wanted something a little bit more out of it. And so to do that and then to do that successfully, I mean that's pretty cool. Like that's a good accomplishment. It's been a while where something that wasn't, for me personally, that wasn't like more of like the mainstream, like Marvel and DC stuff, like really gripped me like this did. So
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Like I definitely want to keep reading for sure.
Yay. And I've only heard even better things about year 2 and Shattered Grid, which I'm really excited to get to. And one of the things I'm really thankful for is that this gave me the board game,
Which was fun.
which I'm gonna have to buy expansions for until I'm dead, I guess.
Yeah, like most board games.
But that directly takes from this comic book. So
Mhm.
thank you, Boom, for giving me another board game with a million expansions that cost a lot of money. I'm gonna have to buy because the Dragon Zord costs like $30 for some reason. But
But it's the
okay,
dragons, or you
but it's a
you
Dragon Zord.
gotta.
Um, Kyle did Power Rangers then Ultraman and his own take. Really, own take on Ultraman. I would love to see his own original take on the Sentai on a Sentai team. Man, that'd be cool. Yeah, and I agree. I think I give it an 8 out of 10. I really, really like it. I feel like when we get to year 2, that rating might go up based on what I've heard happens. I think once you get more into like the actual action of it, I'm really gonna get far and deep into it, like hyperfixation level into Power Rangers. Just knowing me.
I mean, I don't really know much of what happens beyond this, other than like what I saw in the video, and even then, I can only remember so much.
Yeah.
But it definitely felt like these first 12 issues, it really was a lot of setup, which
Yeah.
isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was a little bit of a slow burn in that regard. So,
Mhm.
and now right when it's ending, it's like we're starting to really pick up pace, and that's why it's like, like I want to keep going.
Oh, Scotty, hi! Maddie, Merry Christmas. I want to wish you and your family a healthy, safe, and prosperous holiday season. Happy New Year. Oh, happy holidays to you too, Scotty. I've missed you. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I hope it's full of comic books and relaxing time, because I hope that my Christmas is also full of comic books and a relaxing time. Jessica. I have not read this, but 10 out of 10 from Maddie's 90s inspired choker to commit to the nostalgia theme. Thanks, Jessica. And then Elliot said choker, hardly know her. 9 out of 10 for Elliot's pun. You two are the worst.
Hey.
But there's a reason I love both of you. Joe, I'm never gonna paint those minis. I'm artistic, but I'm not like um what's the word, patient or like detailed. So I hate like painting small things. No.
It's
Never.
a lot of patience and a lot of time.
Joe, I'm just gonna bring it all over to your house. Can you paint those and my Mansions of Madness minis? Thank you. I'll go all the way to New York, and we'll sit there. You can paint them, and then I'll hang out with you and your daughter the whole time watching movies. Griffnick says Shadow Grid is fan service done right. I'm very excited for that. So we have a few more minutes with our lovely friends, Ren and Whitney. I almost said Ren and Stimpy, which is not who you are, and I apologize.
All good.
It's one of those things where my words get ahead of me. I could have just told you not. I could have just not told you what I was thinking, but it's too late.
It's better that you just
that
say
was
it.
an option.
Is it really though? You guys know me enough. Like,
Fair.
So people in the comments, do you have any questions for our lovely friends? What are they reading, watching? Any? This is the time to get some suggestions from people. And while you think of things, I will ask, what are you guys watching right now? What are you into? What's happening?
Oh, man, I really haven't been watching too much. I'm keeping up with Hawkeye, so I'm excited for the finale tomorrow. But I've just been so focused on other things. Like, I go through phases personally where it's like I'll go through like a month and a half or 2 months where I will do nothing but like binge shows and just
Yeah.
I'm just in that mood to watch things. Then I'll do that, and then that'll fade off, and then I'll do like video games for like 2 months straight, where like that's all I'm doing is just rapid fire through games. And my hyperfixation kind of goes in spurts like that. So right now it's still in the video game phase. So for me, I've been
Still
going through.
Endwalker.
Yeah, I mean, I finished the Endwalker story about a week ago, so this has just been me enjoying Final Fantasy 14 again, which I had been taking like 6 or 7 months off at this point. So
Yeah.
it's nice to get back into that. And then I've been playing Ace Attorney with Lisa, and we're almost done with the 6th game there. So that's been cool. And then still playing Genshin Impact on the side. So that's pretty much what I've been sticking to for the time being.
Ace Attorney is one of the things I want to lend to Whitney next. Because
Super good. Super good.
I feel like she'll like all of the like visual novel things. Whitney, what have you been up to? Reading or watching or listening, whatever.
It's just been watching. It's really just been watching. I recently watched the film Stargate. It's a 90s film.
I'm so proud of you.
And vacation time, I will start the series. See, it's live, it's recorded. That means there's evidence saying that I will start Stargate the series. So we'll see.
Man, next is Star Trek. Can you imagine?
God.
The world's open.
I'm entering a dangerous world, I already know. But, I chose this life, so here we are.
It's too late. You're going to be one of us. You know how to play Magic the Gathering.
You know? I mean, once you've got that, it's that's kind of it. Like,
yeah,
you might as well just commit. I mean, that's all there is to it.
I have a very introductory understanding of Magic the Gathering, yes, but I will not claim that I play Magic the Gathering well.
Okay.
Yet.
Listen, we've all said that before. Ren, I'm sure Ren's right here with me. We're like, I'm not going to do this one thing. Not really. Wait. Like me with comic books. When I met Ren, I was not into comic books.
No, that was that kind of just like exploded after the fact. I very much remember that.
Yeah.
Well,
it was all video games.
We'll check in a year from now. We'll see what happens.
Ha! So ready. Maddie, did you also suffer the Toei purge with your One Piece recaps? No. Since those are on a smaller channel and we don't show any pictures, there haven't been any issues. Most of the issues we have, yeah. Like right now, our channel's getting flagged too. So we have 2 strikes, and those came because of Viz on like some Mermaid Saga reviews that Omar did, and he didn't. It's like we showed clips from the show. We just showed the book, and if you get one more strike, our channel's just gone. We can't. It's locked. We can't do anything. So it's like that level of serious.
That's intense. Yeah, didn't they take down? Somebody had like 350 videos for the One Piece thing or something like that, and they just wiped them all out,
Mhm.
something like that.
So everyone's just not talking about that stuff because, like, the way YouTube is, even though all that stuff is fair use, like,
Mhm.
if I showed you a clip of something and I talked over it, it's just like being on the news. You technically that's fair use, but YouTube is like the algorithm, just like no, and it's more work to like get them to review it.
Yeah, that's the hard part, is getting to dispute it after the fact,
Yeah.
even if they're in the wrong.
So like none of us really know where that's gonna go because it reminds me of there's like that cosplay account Kamui Cosplay, right, where they had a strike forever ago, but they can never again make a YouTube that actually makes ad funds and revenue. Like they came into a side account.
Hmm.
So we're like, well, crap, we have Near Mint Collective also. We have a side channel, but that's technically connected. So like we're hoping for the best. I don't know what else they'll flag, but I guess no one can talk about anime or manga anymore, really. Luckily, I don't show pictures of anything, but I don't know.
Oop. That would help if I got off mute, right? What I was saying was, like, what are you accomplishing with that at that point? Like, if you just go and destroy your own fan base there, all that does is hurt you. Like, at the end of the day, like, if it is fair use, and it's not just somebody sitting out there, streaming literally full episodes or something like that, then what is the harm at that point, I guess, is my question. But I don't know.
I agree.
I'm not a
It's just
lawyer.
it's a bad system. Like if you think about it, like fan art and like comics and stuff have just boosted the sales and interest of the main thing. That's why doujinshi, which is like the fan comic in Japan, that industry has just supported it.
Mhm.
Like it's by me watching videos like on Comic Story and or here or wherever else, it's made me buy books.
Yeah.
People watching Omar show a book makes them buy the book.
Hmm.
I need to see the picture of it to be like, okay, looks like the book is big, looks like the quality's nice. All right, now I know it's worth my investment. But you can't just take that away. You're hurting yourself. It's a broken system. To me, I'm like, okay, if someone's showing the full episodes of your show on YouTube, okay, give them a copyright. But if they're not, leave it. I don't see an issue. AMVs, leave it. Fan cams, leave it. Who cares? Like, but I don't make the big money, so. Do it, show the book. I don't have this book, so I can't. Hayden says Stargate Atlantis was so good. So Whitney, I
Is
think
that
you're
the
in
first?
for an adventure.
Is that the first? Which one's the first one? Before I embarrass
I
myself.
don't know. Hayden, can you
Okay.
tell us? I don't know. I've never seen a Stargate.
I've never seen
Just
a
like to.
Stargate.
Honestly, that's how I feel like I talk about it. What? Never seen a Stargate. What does a Stargate look like? Is it an animal?
It's
I mean,
I know it's a circle
well, I
because
mean,
I've seen
thankfully, I haven't
replicas.
seen the movie. I do know that bit. I just, if we start a new show and it's something people have beloved, it's like saying, "Oh, I'm going to start Doctor Who." You can't apparently you can't start at the beginning because
No,
Lord knows exactly. How does anyone just automatically know that? You have to have seen it to know that. You can't assume a noob like myself would just know. Oh, I guess everyone's
you
starting
got
at
to start
season
with
3.
Christopher Eccleston. I think, but also it's a hard sell because it looked really bad at the beginning. I'm like, yeah, watch Doctor Who, and it's like, you want to see this really greasy looking mannequins for
Oh,
one episode?
oh my gosh.
I mean, that's where I ended up starting with it. And that whole run is relatively short, isn't it? It's only like
Oh,
6
one
episodes,
season.
something like that. It's not very long. I remember that. But yeah, and then like, even going further with that, like a lot of the older Doctor Who stuff, they don't even know where it is. They lost it. Like they were like finding episodes at like rummage sales and stuff like that because they did not like keep track of it at all. Like they were
How
literally like
bizarre is
asking
that?
fans to like submit their tapings and stuff because that's how badly they kept everything. It was nuts.
The show has some sketchy beginnings.
Hmm
Hayden says Stargate, then Atlantis, and then Universe.
Okay. Well, we'll add that to the old memory bank.
Let's take this to fans only. All the One Piece you can take it. Could you imagine if we just... Hey guys, I can't talk about this on YouTube. Subscribe to my OnlyFans, but it's me fully clothed, but I'm just talking about the things I'm not allowed to talk about on YouTube.
It's just you and Robin cosplay the
I'll
entire
just
time.
like one shoulder.
That's all you get. You get a shoulder.
A shoulder and a nose scrunch. Jade, I technically have started Arcade, but I keep getting distracted. I keep starting it during peak ADHD hours, and I know I'm gonna like it. I almost need a friend to sit with me.
Let's do it.
All right. I'll come over to your house while you're working. We'll just sit there.
Cool, let's do it.
LOL, all you do is show this shoulder.
Listen, everybody's got a trademark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go.
It'll work. Probably. Will there be pugs too? Sure. There'll be me sitting on the ground with my million pugs.
Pugs crawling everywhere.
Those 2 new ones are so cute though, so it's worth it.
They're adorable. Hank Cooper.
Hank Cooper. You got distracted. I got distracted. When you put it in all caps like that, I think you got distracted because someone's cute in the show. Is that why? I just heard people like it because it's gay. Maddie, I'm about 100% Jessica Ashcraft will sit with you while you watch Arcade.
Wow, just put it out there.
I'll go over to Ren's house and watch it, and then just squeal distractedly while he's trying to work. That's my present to you, Ren.
I'm for it.
Yay! Well, I guess we're getting towards the end. First of all, thank you to my wonderful guest, Ren and Whitney, for hanging out with me. And being my friend and being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And extra thanks for continuing to be my friend after being on my show. I appreciate that. Especially when I just ramble for an hour.
I think it'd be awkward if we left immediately after we finished the show. Like we just said, so we're done.
Yeah.
That's my biggest fear.
We're just coordinating and just bailing.
Yep.
It's like this was the end. We're just being nice because we're live. Thank you for the chat for hanging out. I'll be back next week. We were talking about our Patreon pick, which is we had everybody vote for different books by Kentucky authors. I haven't heard what the final say is, but James told me that Warlords of Appalachia is in the lead. So I think that's what we're going to read. But yeah, I'll be back next Tuesday. And if I don't see you all before then, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Regardless if you're spending it with anybody or not, just know that I am sending you love and support, and I hope you get to at least read a comic book or two, or just hang out, have a hot cocoa on me. Not on me. I can't just buy you a hot cocoa from here, but I just hope that you have a hot cocoa.
And please don't dump it on her either. That would not go well.
Oh no, I'm so sensitive. Both my. I gotta shut up and stop talking.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we're good.
I hope you liked this video. Comment down below if you read Power Rangers Year 1. Tell us what your thoughts were, recommendations going forward. And I hope you continue to subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed, welcome to finding us. Very cool. I hope you subscribe and hang out. I'm here every Tuesday. Have a good night.